Hello and welcome to the Guides.Global guide to immigration to the Costa del Sol. My name's John Howell. I'm the founder and director of Guides.Global, and with me today I have Miguel Manzanares, who is the founder and senior partner in Manzanares International Lawyers. Manzanares is a substantial law firm here on the Costa del Sol, and we'll talk about them in a moment. Miguel, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your time. So let's just talk a little bit about you, first of all, and then about Manzanares International. You are a lawyer, and you've been working as a lawyer for how long?
I'm a lawyer. I studied law in Madrid, and then I became lawyer in 1994. I decided to set up my own law firm by the end of 1995.
So you've been going for over 20 years?
Over 20 years, correct.
Yes.
And so the law firm was set up in Spain only, in Costa del Sol. And we have, as well as the initial office where I was starting to operate, Marbella, which has become, with the pass of the time, our head office.
Which is where we are now.
Exactly. And we are also present in some other countries, although our main operation is being always in Spain.
And you're focused very closely on the Costa del Sol and have offices in various places of the Costa del Sol.
Correct, yes.
So, today we're going to be talking about immigration, and you are the partner in the firm who is in charge of immigration, but you have an immigration lawyer and others who are actually doing most of this work on a day-to-day basis.
That's correct. We have a team that is in charge of the immigration matters. The head of our immigration department is Mrs. Blanca Loring, who is specialized only on this field, and she's got as well some other assistants.
And it was Blanca who wrote the guide to immigration.
Correct. She wrote the guide.
And that guide to immigration you'll be able to find at www.guides.global. There's also a link to it in the information box with this video. Miguel, let's start talking about immigration generally. In every country in the world, immigration is a very difficult subject and one where the law changes very regularly. And I don't think that's any different in Spain, is it?
Absolutely the same. Absolutely the same.
Today, we're going to deal with immigration in 9 different sections. Each one will be a separate section of the video, so that if people want to skip ahead and they're not interested, for example, in students, then they can go on and look at the bits they're interested in. But the law does treat different types of immigrants very differently.
Yeah, correct. Spain is a country that is member of European Union, and also is a signatory party of many other conventions within the European Union and with other countries. And this is really how there are different type of immigrants, and but there is a very big group that we can say, in general, we can say EU members, and as well as these EU members, we can include as well the other countries like Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Switzerland.
Yes.
And then there's also other group that is non-EU countries.
And so, for the purposes of this video, it's not strictly accurate, but when we talk about EU members, we're talking about the classic EU plus Norway, Liechtenstein, Iceland, and Switzerland, just so that everybody's clear. Okay, there are different reasons why people come to the Costa del Sol, and each of them has a separate set of rules. So we have, for example, people coming here for short-term purposes as tourists or for business. We have people coming here as students. We have people coming here to settle. And we're going to now look at those in turn. Let's start off with short-term visitors coming here as tourists. Can you just explain what the basic rule is for someone who wants to come to Spain as a tourist, starting off with people who come from the European Union?
From the European Union is quite simple. If they are countries part of the Schengen Convention, they don't need anything actually, just to have the way identification card. They could be their passport and as well the national identification card. And they are free to stay in Spain because That's really quite simple, actually.
Yes.
For the non-EU countries, there is a need of a visa. To get a visa, you have to really apply that at the Spanish consulate or embassy at the country from they come from, and also they need to have a valid passport. They have to have this visa, and at the borders they have to justify their visit to Spain. So
Say why they're coming.
Why they're coming. If they're coming as a tourist, typically you have to show that you have a flight to return to your country. You have to see the accommodation, and you have to prove as well that you have funds to support yourself within your stay in Spain. That typically is 65 euros per day, with a minimum of 580 euros.
And when we're talking about people coming for short-term purposes, we're talking for what, up to 90 days.
Exactly.
Although countries may be countries where people need a visa to visit Spain, it's fair to say, isn't it, that it's much easier to get the paperwork if you are in some countries than you are if you live in others. So, for example, if you want to come to stay in Spain as a visitor from Iran, it may be more complicated than if you're coming as a visitor from, say, the United States.
That's correct. In general, there is a visa to be obtained, and is under the discretion of the Spanish consulate or embassy at that country to issue that visa or not. We know, of course, that there are countries in which the Spanish international authorities are more careful to issue the visa than others. But in general, we can say that they are all responding to similar general rules.
And the other thing perhaps worth mentioning is you say that you have to justify your visit when you arrive at the border. We wouldn't want the viewers to think that this is some sort of interrogation. You will go and present your passport to the border official, the border police officer, and he may or may not ask you any questions, but usually it'll just be a few seconds.
Yeah, exactly. I have to say that I can see that the Spanish authorities at the borders are very friendly, actually. If you are bringing with you your passport, your visa, and if you can prove very easily that you have your flights, your accommodation, your funds, this is going to be a very easy, straightforward process. It's not in Spain something that is uncomfortable at all. It's quick and smooth.
And one other thing perhaps we ought to deal with at this stage, because I know it causes huge confusion for people, is just to say that even if you have come to Spain, whether it's for a short-term or a long-term basis, even if you live in Spain and you've been living here for 20 years, it doesn't alter your nationality. You still remain an American or an Australian citizen, and it's only if you apply for Spanish nationality that your citizenship will change.
Exactly. The citizenship is not something that you obtain automatically at all. You have to apply for it, and you have to meet a number of requirements.
Now, there are different types of immigration for different purposes, and some are more complicated than others. It's worth just having a quick word about professional help. If you're just coming to Spain as a tourist, then most people won't need any professional help at all. They'll just contact the immigration department in the country where they're living, and it's a very simple process. But if you're doing something more complicated than that, if you want to come here to live or to work or to study, probably you're going to need some professional assistance.
Definitely. In case that you come to study, maybe I will say that this is one very straightforward, simple, in which it will be always better to have a professional guidance, but it should be really a straightforward visa.
And that guidance may come from your school or college, for example, rather than from a lawyer.
Exactly.
But if you're coming to work or to start a business, you will need some professional guidance from a professional.
Definitely, because to obtain the residency for doing work, if you have planning to stay long term, you need to basically the main part of the application is a business plan.
Yes.
Is a way to show to the Spanish authorities that you have a very strong business plan to do a business in Spain, and you've been exploring every possibility, you've been deciding where to go to, you know the market, and this is something that is more strongly tied up with the assistance of a professional.
And if you're going to seek professional advice, it makes sense to do it early, at the beginning of the process, rather than later on?
Yes, it's much better to do it from the very beginning with this guidance, because there are a number of documents that you are preparing that could be essential, could be key within the approval process. And if they have already started with some of it, then they have to go back to the initial point to redo things that have been worked.
And also, an important point is that if you get it wrong, if you forget to give the immigration authorities a document that they need and they refuse your application, it's then much harder to get approval later on. Much harder, much more work.
Correct. It's really essential to apply with a very complete book. Yes. In which documents number 1, 2, 3, 4, they are all in place in the right order with the right type of presentation that the Spanish authorities are Yes. expecting to see that. And this is something that we create a book, a very well organized book, by which all the documents that have to be presented are in order, are in the right type of form that the Spanish authorities, that the embassy are expecting to read. And this is really facilitating the process. Yes. Because the officers see that this is really a very complete, strong application.
Put together by someone who knows what they're doing.
Exactly. We
Yes.
give them the assistance and we guide them how to do it. We gather the documents, we put them in the right order, in the right type of draft, and this is when we present it.
And this professional assistance will come from a professional immigration lawyer, if it isn't going to come for something simple, say from your school or college or university.
That's correct, yeah.